This is a brief demonstration of the Dynamo Tools Data Dictionary. The Data Dictionary is used to describe file structures for permanent files, temporary files, internal data structures that might be used within a program, or other data structures that are used as calling arguments to called routines. I'll call up an existing data dictionary. We support all the different BBX file types, including the full text search. The fields describe the fields that make up a record. I'm going to use this example to add a new date field to the record. Just call it date for this example. We support the ability to link to a reference copy so that multiple references to a common field can inherit their properties. I use the default template type, but we support all the different BBX types, template types. You can enter a mask for numbers, floating numbers like that N7.3 above, dates, times, etc. There's also a property screen where you can put additional information that is used on views and grids. We're going to just enter a Julian date that's not required and has no min-max ranges. We don't have any field notes or any other verification or graphical application requirements. And of course you can move these around. The data dictionary is used to describe keys. This example right now just has one KNUM0 that has a single segment. Let's create a new KNUM that includes our date. Let's say we want it to be descending, and then maybe one of the other fields, perhaps the code, followed by the main identifier of the record, the ID. So I've added a field, I've added a KNUM. Now let's create a view. So a view consists of fields. Most of these options won't be required for this brief demo. Let's include some of the typical fields that would be used. Number, our new date field, and let's also include a yes/no field, and perhaps a field that has some related information. And finally, let's look file verified lookup, like for a two-letter state or country code. So that's all that's required to create a simple view. I've skipped many of the options just for simplicity of this example. Now let's take a look at what it might look like in both a character and a graphical environment. First, let me show you what a view looks like. A view doesn't have any data entry, but just a list of fields and values. Let's start by looking at it in the character world. So there are the different fields, the text, the descriptions, and their values. Looking at the same thing in the graphical world, the view looks like this. Now let's contrast that with a form where there's data entry options. Here in the character view, you see their fields are now numbered. Here's the new demo date that I created. Even in the character world, we do have these calendar pickers. We have the yes/no field, the related text, and finally a file verified lookup. Let's take a look at that same view, or form, in a graphical world. I'll use the date picker like I did in the character-based. The yes/nos are implemented as a switch. This was our always, never, sometimes drop-down list. Finally, a file verified. Let's put in a few letters of Hawaii. You can see it found the list, or if I put in just smaller entry, you can pick from the list. Full pagination is used on the grids. So that's an example of a graphical form. Let's preview one other existing form. Next, I'm going to put in my zip code. Dynamo Tools prompts you for the cities that are valid for that zip code. But first, let's look at the address in graphical view. So we have a few switch boxes and radio buttons here just for demonstration purposes. But the address lookup is using the address completion capability provided by Google. So if I start typing in my home address, you see the list. So that's my address. Dynamo Tools will split it into the appropriate fields. Dynamo Tools can provide file maintenance applications, which typically consist of a form followed by one or more additional views that can contain other forms, other file maintenances, grids, custom code, etc. Here is a file maintenance example taken from Dynamo. I'm going to look for customers that have a bill working there. So here's the one I was looking for. So this is what a character-based file maintenance application looks like. And again, to handle the address verification, if I left off the street name or something like that, when I key in the zip code, it presents the list of cities. And when you exit the view, it standardizes the address and provides the zip +4, and if necessary, it would have changed the county, which is needed at least in Ohio to determine the sales tax rate. And then all these subsidiary views are linked to this customer. Here are their contacts, and a separate form for the contact properties. And each one of these different views can be accessed through file maintenance, including notepad text where you can describe specific information that doesn't fit into any of the existing fields, more like a mini WordPad. Here's another example. This is item maintenance. The primary view, and then all these variety of secondary views. That's just a form. This is somewhat custom. Kind of a list with a grid. All our file maintenance applications within Dynamo and Dynamo Tools are driven by the Data Dictionary, including the Data Dictionary maintenance itself. The Data Dictionary can be used to describe grids, both character and graphical. These are the columns within a grid. These fields can either be contained within the record itself or some related record. Dynamo Tools can convert data files, so we added that field called date, and we added a KNUM1. So here it's previewing what changes have to be made. So we've archived the data and converted the file. We can export Dynamo data dictionaries to the basis data dictionary for use with database and SQL functions. And I've demonstrated for you the preview. In addition, there's a variety of tools that can be used to compare dictionaries and search for fields and rename fields and files, etc. It's very comprehensive set of tools.